it's your girl, Crispin Shay. So, this your girl, Crispin Shay, and I am back. I said I am back. I am back with another video. So, the last time I did this sort of video where it's just like extremely interactive outside of my usual open mics and poetry readings, it's been a while. I had just released my book. And so I thought, while I was at lunch break, sitting in my car doing nothing, I thought to myself, maybe I should do a very engaging video, pretty much giving an update as to how well my book is going, and provide like different provide some insight on like pros and cons that I experienced as a self-published author and poet. I also wanted to give an update also. So I'm approximately 2 years into sharing my work with the world. And so I wanted to give an update as to how well that's been going. Some of the frustration and challenges that I faced, as well as some tips and tricks on what kind of helped me out with those challenges and what pushes me through being what continue to inspire me and what makes me motivated. Because when you're sharing your art to the world, especially something as intimate as poetry, sometimes it can be a little challenging and a little discouraging when everything isn't going the way you're playing. So stay tuned. Publishing my own book gave me a blueprint or a starting point, a foundation of what's to come next. I already have written enough material to do at least 2 more books, and this is my starting point. So I decided that I wasn't going to change anything else. I wasn't going to make any more edits to this book. I'm just going to leave it like it is. And when I create my next books, I would use this to measure my growth. How far I've came, where I started. And so this right here is the building block to what's about to come in the future. So that's the first part of this video. Like I said again, if you feel like the information is helpful, page and subscribe. If you want to hear more information, if I touched on anything and you would like for me to expound on the information that you heard, please comment any questions you may have for me. Any video ideas, any questions you have, please comment. Moving right along. But that poetry typically might not sell as well without having like a big marketing campaign or this big giant machine behind you helping you push your book. But then I read some articles that were saying that we are in this new emergence of poetry and that poetry books are now starting to sell more. And so I think initially I went in with the expectation of no matter if I sold 1 book, I was going to put my words out into the universe. And that's what I did. And so I am excited because I think I read something that stated that the average self-published poet that's kind of like underground, I guess you would say underground poet that haven't hit mainstream, typically sell around 50 books. And so the fact that once I hit that 50 book mark, I was like, okay, I'm doing more than average. So I'm excited that and let me provide this disclaimer as well. So what makes me even more excited is that when I hit over 50 book sales, I was only promoting to family and friends on my Facebook, social media, and I think I did a little TikTok, which barely on TikTok and IG, but mostly on Facebook, and to my family and friend. And then I uploaded a video on my YouTube, which had probably 8 or 9 subscribers at the time. And so I will say that when I first released the book, I was marketing a little bit more. And then as time went on, it kind of faded. And then when I approached the anniversary, well, every time I approached the anniversary, I started marketing more. And then it'll last a little while. So if I'm being truly honest, I feel like the amount of sales that I made within 2 years have been relatively good, considering that I have not been marketing the way that I should. Or some of the challenges that I face in self-publishing. I was able to do a lot of research on YouTube, fortunately, and I was able to do a lot of research on the internet, and I was able to figure out ways to get my cover made. I got my cover made through Fiverr, and I just researched different artists on Fiverr, and I looked at the reviews, and so then I looked at the designs, and I just picked one that I felt like would be a good fit for my book cover. So I just picked the artist based off how well their work was and what I felt would be good for my book cover. And I told her the concept, and if you all could see, I'm gonna do another video with like the breakdown of my cover, why I picked the name and everything like that. But just for the sake of this video, I went to Fiverr and I got an illustrator, and I was very pleased with the illustrator. And then I researched the copyright information, got my book copyrighted, and I had already had my book all typed out. Some of the challenges I faced was the editing, formatting, and the proofreading, which is the large majority of the book. I sent the initial copy through someone on Fiverr to edit, format, and proofread. Then I sent it to another person that I know, which is a person that went to college with me, and she made some changes. And then throughout the last 2 years, I've been going back to some of the poems and making adjustments. Tedious is that I kept making revisions. And so I was a little upset with myself because I kept reading it and I kept saying, oh, I want to change this, I want to change this. So I think the tip or the advice that I would give to a newly self-published author or poet or whatever type of book you create is once you have all the content created and you typed your manuscript, I would advise you not to rush, because I think that's why I kept making changes to the book even years after it was already self-published. I didn't make any drastic changes. Most of it was like formatting, editing, and then like changing some wording up, but not drastic. So I didn't want to change it too much because other people had purchased the book, and I don't want it to be a whole totally different book. And then for copyright purposes, you don't want to have like a completely different book or whatever. So I did make changes, but I made changes quite frequently, I would say, over the course of 2 years. And so what I would say is, don't rush it. You want to get it out there. Don't just procrastinate, but don't rush it. What I mean by that is I kind of rushed it. Once I got my mind made up that I was going to self-publish my poetry, I compiled all my poetry over the years, and I think these poems, let me look. These poems went from 2013 to 2023. So these 10 years worth of poems in here, and I kind of compiled them out, and I, separated them according to topics, and I did all of that, but I kind of rushed the process. I was like, oh, I got to get it out here. I set a deadline for myself that I feel like was fairly unreasonable. And I mean, a lot of people would say it was reasonable because I hit the deadline, but I feel like it was unreasonable because I did not give myself time to read my manuscript, have other people read it, have other professional people read it, have other poets read it, and give their insight. But sometimes you just have to do it. Like, not to say just do it. Sometimes you just have to do the thing. So I'm glad that even though I feel like I rushed a little, I'm glad I just put it out there. Because it gave me the opportunity to just like really just keep going. Okay, so I would say some of the pros to me self-publishing is that the number one pro for me personally is that I got my work out there, and I was able to what's the word for it? I was able to really just like put one foot forward, get my work out there, and it gave me a boost of confidence. It gave me the ability of saying like something that I had dreamed about doing all these years, I've done it. After I reached over 50 sales, which was in the first year, my first year, I think I sold majority of my books. And then over time, I kind of faded with the marketing, which is something that I do not recommend doing. But the good thing about having a book is once you put it out there in the world, it's out there forever. So if you want to do like campaigns where when your anniversary come, you push the book more, it sits there. So like whenever someone just stumble across it, or whenever you want to promote it, it's a sale. It's, the royalties, if you just getting one or two, may not be a whole lot of income, but hey, it's out there. You never know. One day you could, I mean, because even for myself, one day I was just chilling at work, and all of a sudden I said, let me check my Amazon KDP, and I looked and I had 5 sales, and I think those probably came from Amazon, or maybe it was someone just saw me marketing on social media. I don't know. But that's the thing about once you put a book out there, you have the opportunity to receive royalties for a lifetime. So that's another pro. Besides it building confidence, let me know that, hey, I can do it. I mean, it's a lot of other pros, but those are the two major ones. My backstory, I've been writing ever since I was 6 years old, and off and on, I would write as a form of therapy. When I was having a really down or sad time, I would write. If I was going through something life-changing, I would write. If I was going through a very extremely elated, happy time, I would write. But periodically, not consistently. But I guess you could say consistently over the years, but still periodically, right? And so in 2020, I was talking to my husband. I was telling him that I write poetry and that I had been going to open mics since probably like 2018 and wanting to share, but too nervous. And my husband kind of encouraged me to go to open mics, do my poetry, and to release my book. So that's how that happened. So what I wanted to discuss is that I talked about the update with my book, right? But I wanted to give a little update on how it has been going with me being a poet and also a full-time commercial lender. So, let me say this. I subscribed to Poets and Writers, and they have a wealth of information on there. And it came with a free pamphlet or booklet or some sort, and it shared like different testimonies from different writers, whether they be poets, novelists, or whatever, right? And I read that thing from the front to the back. And one of the key takeaways that really stood out for me in that Poet and Writers Journal is that one of the writers wrote, "Celebrate your small wins." As a creator, we have to learn to celebrate our small wins, especially when you are putting things out in the universe that's positive. And what I mean by that is that, or unique, it could be positive, unique, different. Whenever you're creating and it's something that's outside of the norm, you have to celebrate your small wins, because it's going to be times when you are burned out. It's going to be times when you face challenges. It's going to be times when you feel like you just can't go no more. It's going to be times when you feel discouraged. It's going to be times when you feel hopeless. And it's going to be times when you just don't know what to do. You at a breaking point. It's going to be times when you may suffer from writer's block. So you have to learn to keep yourself encouraged and celebrate the small wins. So the first thing I want to do, because I said I want to give an update. So the first update I want to give is that, I guess, where I am now. So where I am now as a poet, a writer, an author, a creator, just as a motivator, just where I am today. So outside of publishing my book, my second initial goal was to build the courage up and do an open mic. Once I started doing the open mic and I had the courage, although I'm still to this day very nervous, but once I started doing mics and I created my YouTube, my second goal was to get a paid feature. And, well, no. It was to get a feature. And so I got a feature. My first feature was a joint feature with the poetry group that I'm a member of, which is called Spoken Word of Mobile. We meet in Mobile, Alabama, every third Monday at the library. And so I joined this organization, which has wonderful community. And I did a joint feature. That was my first feature. My second feature, I did solo. And it wasn't a paid feature, but I did it solo. And I did it at at a local bar and grill down here. And so that brought me to my third feature. My third feature was a joint feature, but I got paid for it. And it was a small amount, right? But I remember being so excited because I remember just wanting a feature. Now I'm at my third feature and I'm actually getting a little ching-ching. I'm actually getting a little change. I'm actually getting a little cash. So I was excited. Then after that, I just started getting feature after feature and the price just started going up. So I've done a combination of and let me say this. My first paid feature was a year after me. No, my first paid feature was a year after me doing poetry. So a year into me doing poetry, I got my first paid feature. However, my first feature that I feel like really started paying a good amount was with me being 2 years in. And so this year alone, I have had 5 paid features. Well, I would say 4 paid features and 1 motivating speaking / financial education seminar. So I had 4 paid poetry features and 1 paid motivational / workshops, motivational speaking engagement. So a total of 5 paid speaking engagements this year. I am going to go over pricing because that is something that I'm working on now. Because initially, I just wanted a feature, right? And then I just wanted to get paid being a feature. But I did not understand how to price. So I will, in a later video, so please like, comment, and subscribe if you want to know this information. In a later video, I am going to do a breakdown on how to set your pricing. So I will be providing tips in a later video on how to set your prices. But I'm just celebrating my small wins, you know. And one thing that I noticed about a lot of people who are very successful, no matter what level they're on, whether they're on a local level, international level, or national level, one thing I've noticed is that once the person has put their work in the universe, I noticed that it may not always hit, especially true, authentic art may not always hit one person life or impact one person. You've done your job. If it does not, but it impact you and it moved you and it gave you courage and strength, then hey, keep writing. In fact, don't never stop writing. Even if you're not considered a poet or a writer, keep a journal. Writing is so therapeutic. And I'm gonna close with this. I'm going to close with this thought. Even when I was not writing poetry or essays, I would write in my journal. And if I was down or extremely happy, I was able to share my emotions on the page. And it has really helped me with my mental health. And it has really gave me the courage to keep pushing forward in my relationships, in my career. It has really gave me the opportunity to do self-evaluations with myself, because we always want to grow and develop, right? And so I think the art of writing, the art of creating, no matter what you create, no matter what you write, is a powerful thing. And so, like I stated earlier, if you like anything that you heard, if anything was educational to you, if you want to hear more insight or more advice about a particular subject, please comment in the chat. Also, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to my YouTube. I'm out.